The show is doing great, but we need more engagement, more reach. We need more comments. We need to connect with our followers.
So how do we do that?
Yeah, could we do something in the Gammaverse or issue an NFG?
What is he talking about? Oh, you mean the metaverse?
No, we need to just post everywhere.
People ask me, Jeff, how is your skin so nice?
No. Oh, this is cool.
Follow me for tips on how to be a boss queen, like me.
It's a start.
Microsoft Advertising.
The download. The download.
Hello everyone, welcome once again to The Download, episode 11. We're happy to be with you. I'm Jennifer Solomon-Baum.
And I'm Jeff Cologne.
Hey Jeff, did you know that women-led startups only received 2% of venture capital funding in 2020?
I did not know that, and that is an absurdly low number.
I agree.
But we spoke with a company that's working to improve this. We look at Stacy's Rise project in our Inclusive Marketing Lab segment.
Awesome. Tell us what else is in store.
Yeah, so we have a fun new segment we've been cooking up for a while called Level Up. Tips and advice from thought leaders across the business world.
And we're kicking it off with Ty Heath from the B2B Institute at LinkedIn. She's here to give you tips on how to level up your marketing creative.
And in our reboot of our Open Perspective segment, we profile Bobby Jones, co-author of a great new book called The Principles of Purpose.
Bobby will bring us his perspective on how organizations can use purpose to make their employees and customers happier, and ultimately, the world a better place. Are you ready for this, Jeff?
Oh yeah, I am ready. Let's get into it. Getting things started, as usual, with this month's insights, voiced by our colleague, Norman McGill.
In our episode 10 Insights, we introduced you to the self-care enthusiast. Inhale the future, exhale the past. But there is another type of consumer on the rise, and this one is taking action with their wallet across nearly every product and service category. Meet the empowered activist. This is a consumer who believes they have the power to affect change and make the world a better place. Here are some more psychographics. Empowered activists make up 12% of the world's population. 87% of them participate in cultures other than their own. And 94% value real-world experiences. Empowered activists prioritize their actions and purchase behaviors to ensure they are in sync with their values. To really understand the power of this audience, we can look back at the beauty sector. Since the 1990s, the cosmetics industry has led the vanguard of socially aware marketers, producing cruelty-free products in environmentally friendly packaging, and labeling them as such. These purpose-driven messages are also front and center in their advertising, and all of these practices were influenced by the empowered activist. Like self-care enthusiasts, empowered activists are in market for both personal and business needs as they constantly juggle the demands of work and life. So that consumer you think is in market for fragrances may also be in market for business services. So now comes the big question for marketers. How do we reach the empowered activist? Number 1, lead with your values. Be specific in your ad title and call out the ethical, sustainable, or green features of your products and services. Number 2, expand your customer reach by serving on non-brand keywords that reflect these values, like fair trade label apparel. And number 3, leverage inclusive attributes of your offerings by highlighting that your business is carbon neutral, minority owned, or wheelchair accessible. Last but not least, consider watching the Microsoft Advertising Marketing with Purpose training for actions to help you build a trusted brand and a fruitful relationship with the empowered activist. Want more insights like this? Check out all our consumer behavior resources and research at microsoftadvertising.com/insights.
And between that intersection of what you do better than anyone else and what the world needs is this opportunity, the intersection point in which we call your purpose. Hi, I'm Bobby Jones. I'm the co-author of Good is the New Cool, Principles of Purpose, and co-founder of Conspiracy of Love. This notion of purpose can be ethereal, right? And so a lot of times people are wondering what exactly is purpose. The simplest way to understand it is purpose is the reason why your company exists to serve stakeholders, shareholders, as well as local and global societies. So when Avdol and I wrote the second book, Good is the New Cool, The Principles of Purpose, we really wanted to focus on the CEOs and the leaders. We realized that marketers were really only as effective as the organizations they were a part of. And so if marketers were really going to be successful in marketing with purpose, they actually had to be part of organizations that had a purpose of their own. And so it was with that understanding that we said we needed to figure out how can we help organizations build purpose-led cultures that start at the leadership level. And so the principles of purpose are really intended to help CEOs and C-suite leaders understand what purpose is, how do you define it, how do you actually discover it within your organization? So after you understand what it is from a definition standpoint, how do you discover where your unique purpose is within your organization? And so for us, the principles of purpose, we want this to be the hand guide and the how-to blueprint for every CEO and executive leadership for how to build a purpose-led organization that can take you from a position of leading with purpose to working with purpose to creating with purpose. So we often talk about purpose is a journey, not a destination. And I've been on a purpose journey for years. About 10 years ago, actually around the same time that I became a father, I really started to see the world through my son's eyes. And I started to wonder, how would he see the work that I was doing? What type of world was he going to grow up in? And what was my role in creating it and shaping it and contributing to that? And so for me, it started with this real hunger to do work that I could be really proud of because of the impact that it was having, not just on the companies and brands I was serving, but the communities that I was impacting. And so it was with that intention that Avdol and I began to think about how do we create something that could be of service to us, but also be in service to all the other marketers and people that are out there in the world who want to do the same thing but didn't know how. How do we do work that matters? And then how do we build companies that matter? And then how do we do work out in the world that makes a positive impact and is shaping the world in the ways that we want? And it's been through that journey that we've been able to find ways of connecting and serving people who want to change the world at a global scale. This trend that we're seeing in terms of purpose is really driven by three key drivers. One, customers and consumers who want to buy from brands and companies that align with our values and are helping to create the type of positive impact in the world that we want to see. Two, employees who want to do work that is aligned with their values, but also provides them with a sense of meaning and fulfillment and where their work is connected to service to others. And investors who want to align their dollars and their investments with companies that are contributing to the long-term well-being of people and planet and society versus the short-term erosion and destruction that so many companies have been a part of now. And I think what's happening right now during the Great Resignation is that people are making choices as to whether or not their work is contributing to the life that they want to live. And for purpose-driven companies, this is an amazing opportunity to tell a new story and issue an invitation to your employees that's much more dynamic than what it's ever been before. The great companies that can develop a clear sense of purpose, invite employees to contribute their gifts and passions to be of service of it, and unleash those culture builders are going to be the ones that's going to win. And it's an incredible opportunities for the companies that are courageous enough and committed enough to take advantage of it.
What an interesting piece. My three takeaways, Jennifer, from this, because a lot of people talk about purpose and, cut on it a bit,
Yeah.
is employees are important. shareholders are important, and your community is important. I think we forget a lot about that. I think what Bobby's getting at is we're moving really more toward a world that is stakeholder capitalism than just shareholder capitalism.
Yeah, so their second book, actually, The Principles of Purpose, is actually really actionable for CMOs as well, how to get started. And if you remember, on our first episode of season 1 of The Download, we interviewed the other half of Good is the New Cool with Abdelaziz, so check that one out as well.
Yeah, now I'm looking forward to this conversation that you had with Frito-Lay all about purpose.
Yeah, so we just watched a profile on an agency that encourages company to lead with purpose. Now let's take a look at a brand that actually is walking the talk. Yeah. Most of you know of Stacy's Pita Chips, but you might not know that for years they have been empowering female-founded business owners through their Stacy's Rise project. I sat down with 2 of the program's leaders in the return of our Inclusive Marketing Lab. Let's take a look. Kira, Susan, welcome to The Download.
Thank you so much for having us. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
So, Frito-Lay, one of the great American brands, but perhaps not one would think of, being really anchored in purpose. So, tell us a bit more, and tell us a bit more about Stacy specifically.
It's so interesting you say that, Jennifer, because the Stacy's Rise project has become an incredible force within the Frito-Lay organization, and one we're all so proud of. It started with the lady who founded the brand, Stacey Madison. She was just an incredible female entrepreneur, very humble beginnings. She had a sandwich cart in Boston. She made pita bread sandwiches that were super popular. And every day she'd cut off the edges of the sandwiches and she'd have these quarters. And she thought, like any good woman, I'm not going to waste this. What am I going to do with it? So she baked them up and then she gave them out free of charge to the very long lines of people who were waiting. And it became this sensation that people just came for the free pita bread as much as for the sandwich. And she thought, I'm onto something here. So she opened a bakery where the chips are still made today. And she founded the Stacy's Pita Chip brand. And many years later, we were very lucky to acquire the brand. And we've been so inspired by her and her DNA as a female founder and as a woman who to this day still is dedicated to giving back, to supporting other young women. So we're so lucky that the Rise project started with that very true foundation.
Yeah. So explain for our audience a little bit more what the Rise project is.
We were so inspired by Stacey and her journey. It's not easy being a female founder these days. Even in 2021, they're underfunded. They get 2% of VC monies. Women of color get 0.2%. I mean, it's tough. And what's interesting about it is a lot of the struggles they tell us about are not that different to women in the corporate world as well. So we thought, there's something we can do to help here. So we started very humbly, very small, and we got to know a lot of female founders through our work, and we talked to them about what is it you need. And there were 3 things that we learned were really important. Money. Money is really important to help grow your business and give you some level of confidence that you can keep going. The other part that was really important to women was mentorship. I have somebody I feel that can give me advice, that can lend their expertise, that can introduce me to other people, that can really be there for me. So mentorship was super important. And the final was expert advice. Like really, how do I grow a brand? How do I design a brand? How do I sell a brand? So they were the 3 areas the women told us they needed the help, and we designed the Rise project around that. And every year we welcome at least 10 women to the program. And we pair them up with 2 expert mentors from Frito-Lay, which is wonderful because they have 2 people who are dedicated for 6 months to helping them grow their business and also introducing them to other people in the network, because everybody in Frito-Lay loves this program and wants to help. So that's how we do the mentorship. We give them $10,000 in the start. That we write a check. Here you go. This is to help you, and you spend it how you need to grow your business. And then the final part are the webinars, which are incredible. We have people from all over the industry, people from Walmart, people from Amazon, people from our agency teams, so many people with amazing expertise that you just couldn't buy. And we run a series of webinars on each of the topics that we know are most interesting and helpful to our founders over the 6 months. So it's quite a simple program. We have a mentorship, we have funding, and we have expert webinars, but it seems to work really, really well. The wins that they get from the program are just, that means the world to us, I think. I mean, that's what makes this program so magic.
So you're part of a giant corporation, and it seems that this started as a small side project. So when you have a good idea like this and you want to drive change and you believe in this idea, how do you start? And then how do you grow?
building purpose into our brands has been really important, and how to authentically do it. And for us, with Stacy's, it was, our only female-founded brand. What kind of societal impact can we have with that? So it was therefore that much easier to connect the dots. So we have Stacy Madison. How can we help other female founders? And that was like the purpose, and then growing the program from there. And I think that what we've started to see is just to keep it simple. Like, it's got to be that link, and it's got to be, and big brands can do a lot of good in the world, but it's got to be simple, and it's got to be easy for people to wrap their heads around.
So Kira, tell me a little bit of how do you measure success and impact holistically for that kind of initiative?
Yes, I mean, this is part of, I think, Jennifer, the new way of marketing in terms of how we measure traditionally in the past. I think it's going to be different now. It has to be different for purpose marketing. And we often talk about it like as this trifecta almost, that when you do purpose activities, how do I grow my brand and stay true to my brand, but also how do I make an impact in society? And finally, how do I make an impact in my organization? Because when you can hit those three things, that's when the magic happens. And believe us, we've seen it on Rise. Everything comes together. Our employees are engaged, we're making a difference societally, and our brands are growing. So I think that's what we always talk about. And sometimes each element of the trifecta, it doesn't always happen at the same time. So you may have an amazing employee win and your organization is excited about it and you've all these proof points. The brand sales may come at a different time, the societal impact. So I think you have to understand that the three things need to happen, but they will happen over time.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important that you don't overpromise with these things because they can take time to come through. But it is incredible, the results we have seen in probably the most untraditional ways. Whether that's, as Susan said, the fact that we have most of our company knocking on the door saying, how do I get involved?
Yeah.
But also just, I'm so proud. We have people who we hear when we go to recruitment fairs saying, we heard you do this Stacey's Rise program. It's amazing. We never thought a company like yours would do it. But then we have conversations with our customers on the business side who go, we think it's great this brand is doing this. How can we work together? How can we partner together? I think you have to reframe how you measure these programs, and you have to be able to have consistent conversations with your business about the different types of impact and benefit that you're bringing.
Kira, Susan, thank you so much for sharing all these great insights and knowledge with us today. And thank you for being on The Download.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us. It was a pleasure.
Welcome back to The Bot. This is part 3 in our crash course on search engine optimization. Last time, we talked about technical stuff, in particular, page speed and how to make your website as fast as possible. Now, let's unpack factor number 3 in successful SEO strategy, reputation. Reputation is how other websites link to your page, and it works a lot like your reputation in the real world. What are people saying about you, and who are those people? Search engines use what are called backlinks, or web links from one site to another, as a vote of confidence. It's like having a third party vouch for your site quality. But it's not enough to have a lot of backlinks. You've got to have links from trustworthy websites, and not just any old website out there. And don't think you can just buy a bunch of backlinks. Search engines can smell a purchase link from a mile away, and that can lead to a penalty. Here are 3 things to know about reputation. First, earn your links. This means publish great content that helps people solve problems or answer questions. Second, review your links. That means find out where your backlinks are coming from. And third, be picky about sites you link to. That means you shouldn't link to any old site either. Let's break this list down a bit more. When you earn your links, it means other sites have linked to yours based on your content quality, but you still need to do a little promotion. That doesn't mean buying links, which is a big no-no. Use social media and share your content with your audience. Finding business directories with review submissions is another good starting point. In both cases, great content will help you earn those critical first links. Next, it's important to review which websites link to your site. Bing Webmaster Tools has a section just for backlinks. Click to see which sites have linked to yours and how many times. If these sites are not in your business category, it could be a bad sign. You should ask them to remove the links. Finally, be picky about who you link to. Search engines will associate your site with others. So if you link to a poor quality site, search engines will think your site is poor quality too. You want to associate with the most credible sites in your vertical. For example, if you sell cars, you should link to the manufacturer, but linking to your sister's bakery would be super sus and send a bad signal for both sites. Next time, we'll look at engagement, a crucial factor which deals with how people interact with your website. Until then, here's wishing you a landslide of clicks.
Shouts once again to Jake Rice, our resident SEO expert and voice of the bot. Some great tips there for SMBs getting into digital advertising for the first time.
And now here comes some more tips. Ty Heath is a rockstar marketer and thinker at the B2B Institute at LinkedIn. She's here with some guidelines on how you can improve the creative in your marketing campaign.
It's the debut of a brand new segment we think you're going to enjoy. Time to level up. Let's check it out.
In marketing, we often talk about media, but what we don't talk about that we should be talking about more is how to invest in having more effective marketing creative. I'm Ty Heath, Director of Market Engagement at LinkedIn's B2B Institute, and I've got 5 tips to help you level up your marketing creative. Tip number 1 is story arc. Marketing is storytelling, and the best storytellers rule the world. Stories have a beginning and a middle and an end, and they draw you into it, and that's exactly what we want to do with our marketing. One of my favorite activations of this was done by Intuit. They have a story called A Giant Story that follows an entrepreneur through the experience of launching her small business. And it just brings you in, and it's so memorable. We're all rooting for her, and ultimately she succeeds. Tip number 2 is character. Character links you to the brand, and it makes it more memorable, and we're trying to make sure we build that mental availability with our brands. A great example of this comes from a category that you wouldn't really expect it to come from, insurance. If I say Geico, you say Gecko. When I say Gecko, you say Geico. I knew you answered that before I finished. Geico has one of the most memorable ads of all time with the gecko. Who would think a gecko would be a character to represent such a category that's considered to be serious? But you remember it, and I remember it. Tip number 3 in how to level up your creativity is one of my favorites, music. Music touches the heart and it stirs the soul. One of my favorite activations using music is Adobe's ad, A Fantastic Voyage. It follows a woman on her commute, and you see beautiful animations going through the subway train as she commutes. However, what they do that I don't see a lot of marketers doing is bringing music to it. So you see beautiful use of the soundtrack from the Rolling Stones' She's a Rainbow, and that makes the ad extra memorable. Tip number 4 is emotion. There's a beautiful quote from Maya Angelou that I know a lot of you know, and it's that people don't always remember what you say, but they remember how you make them feel. And this is true for marketing and advertising. Human beings remember emotions, not facts. Whether you make people laugh or whether you make people cry, it's the emotion that counts. And that brings us to tip number 5, which are fluency devices. And this kind of brings everything together. This is about creating an entirely memorable brand experience by weaving in things like logos, characters, and taglines. All of these things provide memory devices which helps your brand be connected to those experiences. One great example of this is Liberty Mutual. They've got their Limu emo, so they've got a character, a emu. It sounds like Liberty Mutual, emu, Limu. All of that together with the yellow color throughout their brand brings all of these things together. Now, if you use these things consistently through your advertising, and don't worry about overdoing it. You can't overdo it. If you do this consistently, it'll be memorable and you're more likely to be successful. And there you have it. Those were 5 tips for how you can level up your marketing creative. I hope that was helpful. Don't be shy, take it on, and you'll have more success with your marketing.
Wow, I have a lot of mental availability for Ty Heath. Overdoing your creative, her hat,
Yes.
and the thought bubble. If you had a thought bubble, Jennifer, what would be in it right now?
Probably chips.
Love it. And your interview with the Stacey's Rise project, really great to see a brand actually utilizing purpose than just another brand writing about it.
And Susan and Kira just started this a few years ago on their own. And so that also just shows that, you don't need always, upper management permission to have a really good idea that drives impact overall. And in fact, this was just a snippet of the entire interview. So we have the extended cut for you, and we talk about female founders, we talk about their partnership with Reese Witherspoon and Hello Sunshine. So check out the extended version right here. And that's gonna do it for episode 11 of The Download. Woo! Please click the like button, subscribe to our channel to stay updated when new content drops, and leave us comments of what you want us to talk about in our next shows.
For all of our colleagues here at Microsoft Advertising, thanks for watching, stay safe, and we'll catch you next time.
I think there's a little bit more from Ty.
Oh, let's watch it.
Shameless plug. Why not check us out at b2binstitute.org? Why not? Can't hurt you.